The America's Cup is a totally different type of pressure, different from the semis and finals. It goes to another level.
We all remember San Fran.
America's Cup will stay in America.
Now we're a lot stronger team. We've been through a lot and we're really ready for the challenge.
Expecting obviously very, very aggressive, very tight racing.
I'm sure it's going to be, one hell of a battle out there on the water. That's what we're here for, and that's what we're excited to get into.
The time has come. We're looking forward to it, and both of us expecting the battle of our lives.
This is an incredibly tough sporting trophy to win, and we're going to be giving it our all.
It's pretty obvious who Bermuda wants to win, so we're going to use all of that in terms of trying to build as much good energy as we can.
It's pretty special for myself as a Kiwi, being able to race to, try and bring that America's Cup back to your country.
Two of the best teams in the world going head-to-head in a real heavyweight battle. It's going to be one hell of a fight.
So hello and welcome to beautiful Bermuda and the crystal clear waters of the Great Sound, the stunning setting for the 35th America's Cup. I'm Alistair Eakin alongside Ken Reid, veteran America's Cup skipper and president of North Sails. The waiting is over, the match itself is here. The defender Jimmy Spithill's USA against the challenger Peter Burling's New Zealand. So 2 races scheduled today in this 1-to-7 contest. History is on the line. The Kiwis twice winners, but only 5 times in 166 years has a non-American team been successful. This, of course, a rematch of that dramatic showdown 4 years ago. The weather today, absolutely beautiful, ideal for foiling, wind speeds of up to 12 knots, perhaps a little stronger than some were expecting. The wind predominantly from the east and expected to fluctuate a good bit. So the grudge match is on. San Francisco 2013 was just about as tension-filled as you could possibly imagine, and it's become part of sporting folklore. The Americans back from the dead, from 8-1 down to steal the cup from under New Zealand noses. Quite a background then, as we look ahead to today's epic rematch.
Obviously, you want to get a good start and try and get a couple of wins under your belt. In the first half of the competition, it was a nightmare, really.
The entire sailing world holds its breath for the start of race number 1 of the 34th America's Cup. This moment is huge. The first race of the America's Cup goes to Emirates Team New Zealand.
It was obvious after race 1 and race 2, we were in trouble. Then we had to react.
The Oracle have just asked for their postponement card, so that's it for the day.
We need to up our game, and we're certainly not going to hide from that. We're going to go away and do what we can to make sure we step up for the next one.
We went back together as a group, looked at in detail the race and the performance of the boat, and really tried to start to take a few steps forward.
New Zealand almost capsized.
Oh my
gosh!
The race is on, and there you see just how close it is. Jimmy Spitthill and crew will bring it across the line. The Kiwis are now on the precipice of taking away the America's Cup from Oracle Team USA.
I think the question is, imagine if these guys lost from here. What an upset that would be. That'd be one hell of a comeback. And that's the kind of thing that I'd like to be a part of.
Oracle is totally in control at this stage, Todd. They've done a really nice job.
Race number 9, day number 6 of the 34th America's Cup belongs to the Americans.
I think the whole way through, you're just fighting for your life, really. From my experience, until you cross that finish line and someone's handing the trophy,
And all of that excitement, elation, heartache and pain will be channeled into this contest this afternoon. Race 1 of the America's Cup match, just a short time away now. And Jimmy Spithill is standing on the edge of greatness as an America's Cup skipper. Only Russell Coutts is ahead of him on match wins, so that might change by the end of the day. Remember, the length of the series in Dennis Connis Day was best of 7, so the stats need a little bit of context. But Spithill's American team have had a fortnight without match racing, a fortnight of fine-tuning, maybe a few new toys to bring out of the box for this, but the old antagonism remains the same for the USA helmsman. Alec Wilkinson spoke to him earlier.
Now, the Kiwis are a team and a country out for revenge for 2013. Are you feeling that animosity?
Yeah, we are, and we're definitely using that as motivation. The boys are very, very fired up. The entire team, actually. Looking like a great day, great weekend, actually, to kick this thing off. And, yeah, today I think should be one hell of a fight.
You've made a number of improvements, changes to the boat since we last saw you in action. They haven't been tested in a challenge, in a race. Are you confident, or is there a possibility you could be vulnerable?
No, look, we're confident. You know, we've got a great team here on the shore. The boys run through a very thorough, almost pre-flight checklist before we go. We'll head out there and put some laps in, and the boat's in great shape. You know, we're really happy with how it's all come together.
Well, 2 weeks have gone by since we've seen Oracle on the race course, an eternity when it comes to development of these flying machines. The Americans were terrific, winning the round-robin series and taking a point forward into the match. But the best part of the America's Cup is its enigmatic build-up. Jimmy Spithill and Oracle Team USA certainly have the smarts and talent and confidence to win, but will they have the pace?
Well, in sharp contrast to their opponents, the New Zealanders are match tough. They've battled through 14 races of the playoffs to be here. They are composed, they are confident, they seem very relaxed. Here's their helmsman, Peter Burley.
We're really, really excited to get out there and race today. It looks like a nice bit of breeze, just slowly building, and we're really excited about how our boat goes in these conditions. We went for a little warm-up just to check everything was all right this morning, and the boat's feeling great.
No pressure then?
No, we're just excited to get into it, and we've got some great fans here, and every day it seems like there's more and more Kiwi flags, on the roads around the drive-in here, and now in the village, and it's great the support we get from back home.
Emirates Team New Zealand has proven to be the best challenger to enter this 35th America's Cup. Never afraid to push the envelope, this team has been at the forefront of shaping the wing and working their crazy-looking foils. And don't forget the crew. A new group of youngsters led by Peter Burling, who have very little memory of the historic 2013 meltdown. That's advantage number 1 in my book.
So a first look at the course, Ken, and the most incredible setting too.
Well, the great sound of Bermuda has been perfect. Really a perfect racetrack for this 35th America's Cup. It's an L-shaped race course that includes a 2-minute start sequence followed by the critical reach to mark number 1. We hope to get off 5 quick legs with and against the perfect 10-knot easterly breeze, followed by the short sprint to the finish right off of America's Cup Village.
Yep, they are right there. The crowds gathering on the shore, the village absolutely heaving today, and so many boats out there on the Great Sound as well. The Kiwis are very well supported in particular. Seem to have been laying out flags all across the island today.
Well, in the red socks of the Peter Blake Foundation, a tribute to the late, great Peter Blake, who was really in charge of Emirates Team New Zealand when they won the Cup in 1995 and kind of started this incredible dynasty. Red Sox have been a tradition, a big fundraiser back in the day, back in New Zealand. So it's great to see the boys on the J-Class Ranger taking it on and supporting their home team.
Well, the anticipation has been building through the last couple of weeks, and we're all so excited about what might unfold across the weekend and, of course, into next weekend as well. We're lucky enough to have Joey Newton as part of our team as well. He's out in the water for us this afternoon, part of Oracle Team USA. Joey, just first of all, give us a little flavour of the excitement amongst the team, knowing that it's match day now.
Oh, hi, Elliot. It's been huge. This is what we've been working for 2.5 years, and that last couple of weeks when the challengers all get to keep racing, the defenders sitting out, it's actually pretty tough because the guys just want to race. So we're ready to get on the race course today. The configuration of the boats, I think, is pretty similar today, and they haven't raced against each other in this light air configuration. So should be a great day to figure out how everybody's going.
So Joey, again, kind of bringing you back into your America's Cup roots. You're sitting here with us mainly because these boats have changed so much, and you've been a trimmer your whole life, and all of a sudden jib trim isn't exactly a priority on these boats. It's about strength and up in that position. So tell us about your journey, your difference in this America's Cup versus last, because how many have you done in a row?
This is number 6. Thanks for bringing that up, Kenny.
Wow, you're old like me.
Look, the boats have evolved rapidly, and especially over the last 4 or 5 years. My America's Cup started, I even raced against you back in Auckland in the monohull days. Changed to big multi-hulls, then the 72-foot multi-hulls last time, and the foiling 50-footers of this time. And the positions on the boats have changed as well. They've become a lot more athletic. So guys that were trimmers like me before, there's not such a big role on the boat for you. It's all about power. And both these boats have got Olympic-level athletes on them to power the systems. And, at nearly 40 years of age, it becomes a little tougher to put that sort of output out.
I'm sure you still got it in you, Joey. Thanks for your thoughts for the time being. We'll be back with you across the afternoon. But the two teams are preparing themselves. They are ready physically and mentally too. And here is the start line, the first look at the start line. Ken, just explain to us why you wouldn't necessarily take the shortest route to the first mark.
That's exactly correct. Very often up at this end of the starting line here, that is the high speed end. A boat with that angle into the mark is going to have probably a little more pace than the boat that goes at the shorter end down here. So very often we see the boats and the coaches go out there. They have a really good idea which end they want to start at right now based on their what's called a VPP, based on their ability to decide before the race even starts which end is going to get them to mark number 1 quickest.
So we are closing in on the moment of truth and the most intriguing of matchups. The Sheriff against the young gunslinger, New Zealand's Pete Burlinger, fearless America's Cup rookie, unflappable, intuitive, and USA's Jimmy Spithill, brash, he's volatile, he's done it all. He's bidding for his 3rd victory in a row. So here we go then. This is what everybody has been waiting for. Jimmy Spithill's Americans defending their crown against Peter Burling's New Zealanders. The match is on, the battle lines are drawn, and this is where it all gets tasty, Kenny. USA with port entry, they get to enter this starting box 10 seconds ahead of their opponents, and the hunt will be on, won't it? It'll be really interesting to see whether Burling is vulnerable in this area, whether Spithill goes after him.
Well, it's 4 years since an America's Cup race. It's really hard to imagine how much effort has gone in for this exact moment in time. Everybody in the world kind of thinks that Jimmy Spithill is going to try to take it to Peter Burling in these pre-starts with aggression, because if there's been any vulnerability in Burling's play, it has been in this pre-start. But you know what? They have great coaches over there in New Zealand, and they will have been coaching him up what to anticipate, how to either lead back, how to push back, and try to stay out of trouble from kind of the old fox, Jimmy Spithill. Another thing to keep in mind, Ali, Oracle has been practice starting against Japan, but there's nothing like the real thing. So, there's a little vulnerability in there as well.
So a different dynamic to the match racing now that it is the match. The pressure that much greater, and so much strain and stress on each of these crews. These moments absolutely critical in the pre-start.
And they're back early. Oracle led back very early back to the starting line. Still 48 seconds to kill, and look at how close they are to the start line. Any little cunning stunts by the New Zealanders. They have their option right now if they want to push and press and be the aggressors. There we go. There goes New Zealand trying to come in and possibly do a little bit of a hook.
So the timing of these maneuvers, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, absolutely key.
Again, Oracle very close to the starting line. New Zealand is laying back here. They're going to pull the trigger several seconds early and try to just have more pace. Oracle's very close to the start and even struggling to keep off of it. New Zealand's going to be going way faster at the start of this America's Cup if Burling does this right.
So the Americans are away, but they have a penalty right at the outset. Jimmy Spithill has gone across that line too quick. And Peter Burling will be able to capitalize from here.
So Burling actually just hung back there. He can just hang out right now. Oracle is going to have to slow down until they're 2 full boat lengths behind Emirates Team New Zealand. Unforced error from maybe the 2 weeks off, that little bit of unpractice.
And that, the area that so many people felt the Americans would hold the edge in. That start line, the pre-start in itself, they felt that Burling was possibly weaker in that department. But it is the Kiwi boat, Emirates Team New Zealand, who are flying up on their foils towards Mark 1 and already reaching speeds of 30 knots plus.
Mark's quite favoured at the bottom, but we'll just have a look when we get down there. Pretty happy left at the moment, one job.
So the penalty now wiped out by the Americans, but they're the ones playing catch-up. And the New Zealanders out in front at the first mark.
Here's what the world has been looking for. We haven't had much of a speed test here so far, but the stability of tacking and jiving. We know Emirates Team New Zealand is very strong in this light breeze, and I think the breeze is down a little bit right now. We're down to about 9 knots. Let's see how Oracle competes in this jiving and tacking, these maneuvers, compared to the really sharp package that we've seen off of the Kiwi boat.
So the first jibe from the Americans, peeling off towards the other side of the course from the New Zealanders. Look at that setup. Just look at that water. What a venue for top flight sport.
One part of that start is the fact that, well, first of all, we call it. I mean, Oracle got so close, so tight, pulled the trigger early. Surprised Burling didn't try to pull the trigger. He just must have thought they were going to be over early and decided, okay, let's take our time here. But one part, once you're over early, to just try to drop back 2 boat lengths is almost impossible. It's acceleration in light air is such a critical factor and such an unknown that Oracle really had a hard time staying in tight after burning that penalty off.
Will be an early-ish tack though, copy. It'll be right down out of it.
There we see the grinders
real good gain here, boys.
of the American crew and the contrast with the Kiwi boat, with their guys operating this cyclor system, the legs driving the hydraulic power through the boat.
Set up once we settle.
It's worked very well for them as they head round gate 2. Very stable, very consistent, very comfortable.
We heard Burling say, big game for us, boys. That means it's puffy out there. It's an easterly breeze. It's shifty. Look at that tack. I mean, just almost flawless on the tack. It's just something we've seen on and on and on. We keep talking about it. Puffy, shifty conditions, though. Oracle Team USA went from just behind to quite far behind in no time. Emirates Team New Zealand tacks early in order to kind of control the situation and stay in the same water in this puffy, shifty condition.
So the New Zealanders with a healthy lead at the moment, beyond 150 metres. And seemingly enjoying themselves in these early exchanges. And it's been noticeable, hasn't it, Ken, how relaxed they've appeared, both on the water and indeed off it.
I got to spend some time with them the other night, most of their crew in just kind of a casual dinner setting, and you'd have thought they were going out for a Tuesday night race at their local yacht club. It's really something that I guess we shouldn't be surprised anymore. It's been consistent theme through this whole event, and yeah, we just shouldn't be surprised. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, we see on the race course they're going up to gate number 3, so that this is a kind of a microcosm of the entire really narrow rectangular race course, and that's to show everybody at home in the world where they are in the race course and where they're heading, and they're going up to gate number 3.
And here the difference in the foils is immediately obvious. The kink on the Kiwi foil.
That's
Explain why they've done that and what it does.
That light air package, both boats with their light air packages, and that kink, that big kink over here on Emirates Team New Zealand versus very straight. They're quite long. All the foils are quite long. The longer, the easier it is to lift, and that is definitely a necessity in light air. But the bottom line is very different approaches to try to achieve the same thing.
So the New Zealanders stretching it out. And sailing a very tidy race at the moment.
Happy for a little build here, 20 seconds. Let's pump the build in here. Yeah, something tough coming as well, be careful.
Fly time is good for the New Zealanders in particular. That the amount of time, quite obviously, that their hulls are spending out of the water, minimizing the drag.
Not a perfect tack by Oracle Team USA going in. This is actually what's called the parrot cam. This is on Peter Burling's shoulder, watching. Holy mackerel, I think if this goes too far, a lot of people at home will be getting seasick.
Yeah.
But yet another one. I think there's 7 cameras on each of the boats, and that is one of them. We're gonna find out more about America's Cup sailing and sailors than we probably ever wanted to know.
Yeah, I think that much is true. They're not allowed to sneeze without us finding out. One of the benefits of being able to get that close and personal. On board Oracle Team USA right now.
Big-headed. 5 degrees.
Two very different power systems. The conventional grinders, called coffee grinders on Oracle Team USA. Again, to power what's called an accumulator, to build up pressure, to make the hydraulic systems work, and can't get much more different. It's just an entirely different set of muscles. They're using their legs on New Zealand, and Oracle's using their arms.
And you were remarking upon it just the other day, weren't you? The totally different body shapes of the two crews on that basis.
As human beings, different body shapes, and then very clearly different windage. I think everybody would agree that the Kiwis are much lower into the boat and have a much better windage package because of that system.
Keep pressing. Right forward. Okay, pressure is above you. Got good pressure in 5 seconds, just be patient.
That's the voice of tactician Tom Slingsby,
to start a good build now.
Who has actually left his grinding post, and he's trying to get his weight forward in the boat.
Really likes to be fast in this one. Copy.
So every last nugget of information, absolutely key. But it's passed on between tactician
coming
and
into a
helmsman.
really light patch in general.
It's looking like a really good start to the campaign from the Kiwis as they round gate 3 and head off downwind again.
I've got us going all the way to boundary. Put pressure here, please. Boundary job. Yep, copy. Arms coming up. Yep.
You hear the voice there of Blair Tuke, who is mic'd up, I believe, for the first time. So we haven't heard much from this group, and I think Blair probably has a little more tactical input than we've given anybody credit for. You heard him say, let's go right to the boundary on this jibe, and great to hear these guys communicating a little more. It makes our life easier.
Don't go over it. Maybe driving back into this one. Yeah, let's stand by. Happy. Great.
So now this lead being built to almost 500 metres. And the New Zealanders really capitalising on that start line penalty incurred by Jimmy Spithill and his American team. Let's bring in Joey Newton, who's out on the water for us, part of Oracle Team USA. Joey, just how damaging was that penalty at the start?
Yeah, well, I mean, it put Oracle Team USA a little bit behind, and like Kenny was mentioning, it ends up being more than a couple of lengths, but that combined with the choice to split away at the first jibe, and then the race, you know, it ended up being what you're seeing now. And the Kiwis are doing a really nice job of just staying in between Oracle Team USA and the next mark. And there's really, unless they make a big mistake, it's going to be pretty hard for them to find a way around. They're sailing well.
You know, it's funny, Ali and Joey certainly has more experience right now than most of us in this stuff, but very often you love the first race of an America's Cup because you really get a feel for the boat speed. But because the boats have been so spread out, I'm not sure we've learned anything yet. Joey, have any trends that you see out there in the race course?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to tell. Like you said, the boats have been a long way apart. It'd be hard to argue that the Kiwis are slow. They've done a nice job of extending, but this easterly breeze is super puffy. It's got a lot of geography to get over before it comes down on the water. So there's a lot of shifts, a lot of puffs, and that's probably a bigger factor than the boat speed on the water now.
Very slick.
Very
in
slick.
their coordination.
Yep.
As we've seen throughout their time here in Bermuda, Peter Burling is running a very well-organised crew. Worth remembering as well, they start this match a point down. They actually have to win 8 races to win the America's Cup here. That on account of the Americans winning the qualifying round and gaining an extra point to bring into the match. So what a terrific start it would be for Emirates Team New Zealand if they could wipe out that point on the opening race.
This place, this America's Cup village, which has been purposely built, including the land that we're sitting on here in Bermuda, has done nothing but be spectacular, not only for us and for the racing itself, but for the literally hundreds of thousands of fans that have come through here.
In 3, 2, 1, here we go. Real soft here, Jimmy. Yeah, wait forwards, boys.
So here's a little split that's happening right now. Emirates Team New Zealand rounded the other gate. They waited a little bit for their tack. If there's a chance to get back into the race right now, this may be it. Again, it's very shifty on the race course right now. Very puffy, very shifty, difficult for the tacticians.
I am. My foot's on it. 1, go. Got it? Made.
So a lot of ground to make up, but one of the reasons that they will have headed off on the other direction, having split the course, the Americans, is to try to chase that breeze, try to steal a march somehow or other on the New Zealanders, who are just stretching away very, very comfortable at the moment.
Who's going to tell that kid he's in the first race of the America's Cup? Because clearly you can't see it on his face.
It's just a quiet weekend drive.
That's what it looks like.
He's enjoying the view, and no doubt he'll be enjoying the one behind him in particular, with Jimmy Spithill miles further back.
You've been calling it driving Miss Daisy, but I dare you to call any of those guys Miss Daisy.
The helicopter keeps getting too low in front of it. Too often to move. Good pressure here. Close.
So it's looking pretty straightforward for the moment from Emirates Team New Zealand. They're going to have to make a proper mess of things if they're to blow this kind of lead from here. And you just don't see them making too many errors. Their error count is really low.
Yeah, look at the shape of that foil out of the water. If you wonder where really one of the very biggest differences is between these programs, and between Emirates Team New Zealand and the rest of the fleet, it's been in the shape of those dagger boards. There's been a lot of conversation. I've had it explained to me why people think it works. I've had the designer tell me why it works, and he may as well have been speaking ancient Egyptian at the time. That's that.
So let's not pass that on then. Well, whatever it's doing, it's working. It's working really, really well. They're in total command. This young, fearless team, and Peter Burling very keen to point out at the press conference yesterday, this is a almost entirely new crew from the one that suffered that heartbreak in San Francisco 4 years ago. Glenn Ashby, the only member of that crew who has been scarred in that way. So they carry no baggage here.
Well, keep in mind, Glenn Ashby is actually technically the skipper of the boat. He's given a ton of credit, not just for the innovation that we see in this boat. I've said it many times, maybe thought of as the best multi-hull sailor on the planet. But he's kind of the glue that kind of got this program, kept this program together through some tough times. And as the kind of quiet voice in the background, I think it's safe to say that Glenn Ashby deserves an awful lot of credit for the success of Emirates Team New Zealand to date, and obviously coming out of the blocks pretty well.
Yep, happy. Big pack. As far as you can, Pete, good pressure.
We've been watching local Team USA tack and jibe. It doesn't look like they've had any really terrible maneuvers. That's not the best jibe by Emirates Team New Zealand there, but nothing seems glaring at this stage, although they are kind of sinking down in the water right now. And it's only about 7.5, 8 knots of breeze out there right now. I think they're slowing down to try to cause a bit of a issue with Emirates Team New Zealand. I wonder if they did that on purpose. They would be the lured boat, which is the right-of-way boat, but it is lighter air. You see these guys not even trying to foil right now. Let's go back out to Joey Newton. Joey, breeze dropping.
Yeah, it seems to have, Ken. Just in the last 5 minutes, I thought both the boats were slowing down to sort of Jimmy was trying to engage the Kiwis, but it may have been that we're just seeing a real light spot up the top because you can see Team USA not even foiling upwind anymore.
Should be pretty good there.
Yep, the wind speed has dropped away to around about 9 knots. There's Tom Slingsby.
Take us or no? A little low now. Okay, we'll take.
Well,
hang on,
something dramatic has got to happen.
Pressure coming.
On the part of the Americans here if they're going to find a way back in, because it looks like the Kiwis are long gone.
Here we go.
Ring rustiness?
No, listen, in a fluky day like today, this group is not going to be happy, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I think they've proven to the world that there's not a heck of a lot of panic in this group as well. So one race is one race. They'll regroup. They'll talk it through. I think Jimmy will be most frustrated with that starting line mistake and kind of timing. Might be a little rust, but they have been out sailing every day against Japan and then by themselves the last 4 or 5 days. So I'm guessing they don't use any of that as an excuse.
Yeah, where do you sit with that, though? Because it can go 2 ways, can't it? They can be underdone, or they could be nicely rested.
Fair point. I would say they give up the rest for the competition that these guys, these guys have been in hard case competition for the last 2 weeks while Oracle Team USA has been off kind of doing their own thing.
And no matter how much you practice, presumably it's like any other sport. Actually, that match competition is everything, isn't it?
You got it.
So the last leg of this apparent Kiwi win. Through the gate they'll go. The finish is a relatively short reach. Coming closer and closer to the shore, and all those thousands of fans, they like to call this stadium racing, and you can see why.
How far are we going in?
They're going to have to do a few more jibes here, though. This is an interesting breeze direction where the setup of the race course is through the bottom gate, and then they have to jibe one more time towards the finish, which is literally smack dab in front of our booth here at America's Cup Village. We're going to hear it from the Kiwi crowd, but I'll tell you what, this is not an easy way to finish right now. It's light air down here, and Oracle is screaming up from behind.
Well, that was a real, you said it, smack dab. That was one way you might have described that maneuver from the Kiwis.
They're building speed. They're sailing very high in order to build speed. They got very slow and very light in those last couple jibes. Let's see if Oracle can continue this pace. They're coming in fast right now, really fast.
They may not lay. So there is a sniff for the Americans, but it is only a small sniff at this point. Now the boat speed building from the New Zealanders, and they're safely away from trouble.
I don't think they're going to lay, though. They have one more jibe to go. They're close.
We're really struggling to lay.
You hear Burling saying struggling to lay. He's taking every puff down possible right now. Just when we were saying 500 meters was enough, Kiwis know how to make it interesting.
Well, we've seen it a few times, haven't we, out here in Bermuda? Those last-minute panicked maneuvers when things are not quite to perfection. But other than a few hiccups towards the end, the New Zealanders have made a storming start to the America's Cup match, exploding out of the blocks, wiping out that one-point advantage that the USA had, taking the initiative at the start with the American penalty. And I guess now we can say it is all square.
All square, that's exactly right. Wiping out that point, and that point, for those of you joining the America's Cup, that point was from Oracle Team USA actually winning that ladder round earlier, about 2-3 weeks ago. They won a ladder round against all of the challengers, and the winner of that took a point into the finals, and actually not taking a point, it actually made your opponent lose a point. So Emirates Team New Zealand started at -1 coming in, and now we're all square, back to even, and here we go.
So there's the race summary, leg by leg, and well, something of a misnomer at the top there. The USA getting away to the fastest start, but they picked up a penalty and allowed the Kiwis in front right at the outset.
That's exactly correct, and they just stretched right until that last leg. Certainly they will go back and look at how they used the geometry of the race course in getting through that final gate and into the finish line, but besides that hiccup, pretty darn impressive.
So, confirmation of the New Zealand victory in the opening race of the America's Cup match presented by Louis Vuitton. And there is, of course, one more race to come this afternoon. The New Zealanders wiping out that one-point advantage that the Americans had. So, in effect, they're all square on 0 and 0. So, one of the 8 wins that the New Zealanders needed to lift this cup. Let's have a word with their helmsman, Peter Burling. Peter, many congratulations. You're off to the best possible start. You must be delighted by that. How key was the start in itself and that penalty for the Americans?
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about the start, and how it's really pleasing for ourselves, you know, to stick to our plan. Obviously, you know, the Oracle boys led back incredibly early, and I think that just showed the whole way in there that, you know, they were either going to be over or we were going to have to get a speed to leeward. So, you know, it's incredibly tricky conditions here today, and we still had a few errors on our boat that we're not happy with, and we'll tidy up for the next one, but really pleased to be back on even peaking.
So, Peter, you know how to make it interesting at the end of these races. I'll tell you that that extra jibe kind of threw a bit of a wrench into the situation at that bottom gate.
Yeah, well, it's a bit frustrating, to be honest. We've practiced that so many times, and we'll be better in the next race, you know. I think you look around the whole racetrack, you know, we had so many things we could work on and improve on, and it's pretty pleasing for us as a group to be able to win by that much with so many errors around the racetrack, and we're really happy with the speed.
Peter, thanks for your time.
Thanks, mate.
So victory for the New Zealanders in the opening race of the day, and this is how it all unfolded.
Well, this is, light air contest, so it's really, you didn't see anything dramatic, but you did see Oracle Team USA, and I think Jimmy Spithill kicking himself for just leading back to the starting line too early. He got himself in that spot, sure enough, over early. As Peter Burling said, he could have pulled the trigger. Once you're over early, Oracle just has to wait. In essence, New Zealand is trying to figure out a methodology to then extend and maximize the distance between the two boats. It's hard to accelerate just 2 boat lengths behind, and I tell you what, Peter Burling did a really nice job at that. And then, of course, it's just these flawless light air maneuvers. These boards, obviously, in their very, very interesting shape. The foils have done something quite unique for Emirates Team New Zealand, and they just constantly show themselves to be super smooth around the race course. But we've seen this before. Coming into gate number 6, all of a sudden, maybe a little mistiming as far as where they wanted to come on their lay line, and got themselves slow and low, and certainly had all of us and all of their friends back home in New Zealand having a tiny bit of panic, but to no avail. On to win race 1, and very well done by the youngster.
So we've got a few more numbers for you to have a look at here. Ken, break these down for us.
Well, upwind speed, look at that. Quite a bit faster upwind. Average speed overall, over a knot faster. Maximum speed is kind of for fun. Distance sailed. Actually, when you're sailing that much faster, you can actually sail a little bit longer distance. They even tacked and jibed. Well, I guess it netted out even. But it's always interesting when we see these distances sailed, they actually get reversed by the fact that the boat went so much faster around the racecourse. That upwind speed is very impressive from New Zealand. So let's just go take a quick look at leg 3, one of the upwind legs. You see some big hurdles that Oracle Team USA, right in here and right in here, some big gaps. Those might have been, those were likely bad tacks, and they really got glued to the water for a while after those bad tacks. Second upwind, look at the same thing. Oracle Team USA, those are monster gap, 10, 12 knot speed differences between the two boats in those situations. So Oracle Team USA needs to go back to the drawing board here. Maybe hope the breeze comes up a little bit in order to get through some of these tacks a little bit more effectively.
So first blood to New Zealand, and that allows them to move level with the USA. First to 7 race wins the Cup, remember. Now in 2010, Oracle Team USA skipper Jimmy Spithill became the youngest ever winner of an America's Cup as he led his American team to victory in Valencia at the tender age of 30. Now 7 years on, the super confident Australian is one of the more experienced heads in the fleet.
I think to be at the helm of an America's Cup boat really is a dream come true. As a kid, that's something I dreamed about, just being part of a team, and to be actually doing it, man, you really look forward to getting up every day. Well, I started out in the 2000 America's Cup. I was with a young team called Young Australia 2000, and we had a boat that had come last in the 1995 America's Cup, but off we went, and we became somewhat of the crowd favourites, and we beat a team. The team that built a brand new boat. So that was really the stepping stone for a lot of us that were involved in that team. The game really is my life. I feel like the fire hasn't gone down at all. If anything, I've become hungrier. And I think to do well in the America's Cup, you've got to keep developing. You've got to keep learning. And I think as a person, you want to do the same. And I've found that the best way to do that is the America's Cup because it is so difficult. And if you can pull it off and be successful, from what I've been involved with, it's the ultimate payoff. I mean, it is such a rewarding experience. My view is that you can learn anything, and at the end of the day, I would take someone with a great attitude and that isn't afraid of hard work over talent any day of the week.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm surrounded by great people, and that makes me confident.
Nice, boys. Nice, Sammy. Nice, boys.
I really pride myself on being composed. When you look at the best guys in the world, they don't throw their toys out of the cot if things aren't working out too well. When the pressure comes on, that's usually when they become more focused and are able to almost somehow slow things down and to make a good decision. The worst mistake I can do is let down my teammates. You know, that's what I lose sleep over. And I guess fear is kind of what, you know, personally motivates me to sort of get up in the morning and want to try and do a good job. You've only got so much time and energy, and you have to decide how are you going to spend it. You can spend it thinking about how you can make the boat faster, what you can do to help the team win, or yeah, you could think about losing. For me, I'm going to go for option A. I'm going to put all my energy into trying to do what I think will help the team win.
Jimmy Spithill, an engaging character, so passionate about his sport, so articulate as well, not afraid of throwing a few barbs out there as well by way of his opponents. So lots of youngsters out there on the water as well this afternoon. It's great to see 32 kids from 10 different countries participating here in the Endeavour Open Cup. That includes boys and girls from each of the America's Cup challengers and defender countries, plus Germany, Italy, Australia and Bermuda. Looks like a lot of fun out there. And it isn't just the megastars of the America's Cup taking to the racetrack out in front of us here today. The Endeavour programme is what it's all about. One lucky group of youngsters getting their chance to show their skills in the junior regatta. Today's class is the Open BIC, an innovative sailing series designed to attract more kids into this exciting sport.
Every kid who tries and does something cool and fun, they do love sailing. So we've just been limiting ourselves for so long, but we need to broaden up the pie here and welcome all these other kids who just want to have fun, whether it's racing or not. It's just go have a ball and find your passion for sailing.
So good to see so many children out there enjoying themselves. The Jimmy Spithills and Peter Burlings of tomorrow, Ken.
The Nats are coming out. And I'll tell you what, it's all about access and fun, and we're all in this together to grow the sport. It's why this TV broadcast is so important to the whole world, is to show more people how cool and entertaining and how passionate a lot of people are about the sport. So this is just great to see all the little kids.
There is a swarm.
A swarm. It's an anthill has just opened up on the right side of the race course here. It's fantastic.
Great to see. And lots of fun to be had everywhere on the water this afternoon, no matter where you are, no matter what size your boat. And believe me, there are every different kind out there on the Great Sound at the moment. Now, in the dark aftermath of the crushing defeat in 2013, Emirates Team New Zealand underwent something of an overhaul. New faces, new technology, new perspective. But one man who lived through it all is still out there fighting the old enemy once again on the America's Cup racetrack. the skipper and the wing trimmer, Glenn Ashby.
For me, really multi-hulls has been a huge part of my sort of sailing career. I started sailing multi-hulls when I was 13 years old and eventually made it through to the Olympics in 2008. For me, multi-hulls has been my focus, so it's been a great journey over the past 20-odd years or so. As a kid, sailing a catamaran was seen to as not being sailing on a real boat. Looking back now, you can sort of almost look back and laugh. I've always really enjoyed the speed, the exhilaration and the exhilaration of multi-hull sailing, and to be sailing around on one hull, as a kid growing up was pretty exciting, and to be sailing around effectively on no hulls now, you're sailing around on foils, is really a dream come true.
The comeback, America's Cup, will stay in America.
Every day you think about the last campaign, and obviously we didn't get the desired result in the very end, which was very disappointing and still is to this day. But that's sport, and we're very, very competitive people, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm back here, is because I'm extremely competitive. For me, the drive to increase the speed of the yacht, increase the performance, do better manoeuvres and take gains every single day we're on the water, I guess I do push that pretty hard from a sailing perspective. You learn a lot all the time, and the idea of pedal power, it's been around for quite a while, and you have a lot of people saying, oh, that's a great idea, and I can't believe that no one else has done that. But I don't think it'll be the difference between winning and losing the America's Cup, but hopefully it gives us a really, really good piece to our puzzle. I think certainly no matter what happens in the future, I'll look back on the time that we're having right now, and no doubt that'll be a wonderful part of our life looking back.
So race number 2 coming your way very shortly. Jimmy Spithill and Peter Burling preparing to go head-to-head once more. And the Kiwis off to that excellent start. The margin of victory, 30 seconds. Probably should and could have been rather more comfortable than that for the Kiwis, bar that hiccup towards the finish. But they look like they're just about ready to go again. Not sure about all of the cycles. It doesn't always look like the best fun ever, does it?
As we've said many times before, they get to know each other very well on this boat. This hydraulic system is charged by cyclists. They actually have
once again, and explain the 2 different paths they could take to Mark 1, Ken.
Yeah, it looks like the bias is a little bit more. So they're trying, by having a shorter line down here, they're trying to entice the boats to start down here. But from this angle, you get a faster boat speed. And a lot of times we've seen the winner come out of this starting line from the right-hand side as we look at it right now, even though they're going actually a longer distance.
New Zealand with port entry this time around. So Peter Burling, who was delighted, I think we could tell that from the interview, he was delighted that he was the guy who got across the start line in front. Exactly. He was the one at the first mark after all the talk, because there's been so much chat about his vulnerability at the start line, and I think that really meant a lot to him.
He was asked that question, how many, 100,000 times? I mean, he got tired of that question. If we've ever seen him get a little feisty with any question, that was it. What's going to happen on the start? And I kind of proved that he may be learning something as we go along.
So let's talk to Joey Newton, part of Oracle Team USA. He's out there on the water for us. Joey, what will that start in particular do to the dynamics of this pre-start now for Jimmy Spithill?
I think not much, Ali. I mean, it was a pretty obvious error turning back to the line too early. He might have thought the breeze was a little bit lighter than it was, but it was just clearly a big mistake on his part. So I think he'll go back to his normal game. He'll have his normal time he turns around, and I think we'll see a much more even start this time.
As the dance begins between the two boats, will they engage each other, or will they stay kind of separated like they did during that last pre-start?
Race number 2 of the America's Cup match. New Zealand against USA, the oldest sporting trophy on the line, and the best sailors in the world on these, the fastest boats in the world. It really doesn't get too much better than this. And the pre-start cat and mouse progressing.
So I think you're going to see Emirates Team New Zealand take a little bit of a left-hand turn here shortly. Spithill will start going after him and start pushing him, and there they go. There's that left-hand turn. Spithill gaps right off. 33 seconds to go. He's going to continue to keep pushing. He's going to push Team New Zealand right down to that ley line, that yellow line out here. That's kind of a line where you probably don't want to go too much further than, because you'll be going upwind into the wind and have a hard time getting back to the start. Oracle much more aggressive in this pre-race.
Jimmy Spithill has really gone after it this time around, determined to make up for the error. Peter Burling hot on his tail. Both the boat speeds very different to how they were in race 1, but they are all clear. They both are across the line now.
Acceleration contest now. Who's up in their foils and who can accelerate the quickest? Remember, Emirates Team New Zealand from that slightly higher, maybe faster angle. Can they get down over the bow and use their wing wash to push Oracle back again? And there they are. They're pressing. They're not even heading for the mark. They're pressing over the top of Oracle and roll over the top again. Burling, 2 for 2 on the starts. I don't think anybody was expecting to hear that call. And really upset. I mean, really intense about it. Look at this. Oh.
Well, it's just as if it's the most natural thing in the world to him right now to be in charge of this flying machine at nearly 30 knots of speed, leading the veteran Jimmy Spithill up to mark number 1. For the second time this afternoon, he's the one who's dictating the terms of this event. And Jimmy Spithill, the man who has been successful in the last 2 America's Cups, is the one who's chasing.
Might get a little better read on the boat speed in this contest. They're rounding at similar boat speeds at similar times, probably in similar puffs. You know, that again, that dark water, they're aiming for the dark water. That means that's wind speed.
Okay, let's stand by.
Better wind speed.
Equalize. Okay,
Critical first jibe.
1. Very light, Tommy. Very light. Got no depth, mate. Put it in when you can.
As ever here, the key element, the smoothness of the maneuver, to minimize the drag and make sure that the boat speed stays as consistent as possible.
But I think we saw a 3 or 4 knot speed difference in that jibe. And look at Emirates Team New Zealand carries that speed difference into all of a sudden 130-meter lead. Probably a ley line. We look in the lower left corner. They're probably zooming in on ley line into this bottom gate. Oracle will look for a split most likely at the bottom gate, at gate number 2.
So the ley line, those 2 yellow lines to each side of the screen, which gives you a good indicator as to the best possible path to make the gate in 1 without further maneuvers.
Might be an early take. He does.
Wow. New Zealand is absolutely tearing it up at the moment.
Right, both sides of the line.
Sits up.
They're all on their Code 1 jibs today, lighter air jibs. This is the biggest headsail that either boat can possibly carry. They're one design jib, so all the sails for the first time in history are actually one design, exactly the same shape, size, and mold.
2, 1, here we go.
There's no difference there.
We're close here, boys. Okay. A little further.
We're going to attack early here. Play catch up.
Stand by.
This was not really part of the game plan. Not part of theirs anyway.
Standing by. 3.
We're looking at match racing here going on right now, Ali. This is very much different than a lot of the multi-hull match racing we've seen in the past. Boats tacking on each other. You know, this is much more classic match racing that guys like Joey Newton and I have done over the years, especially in monohulls. Joey, we saw that other red and black boat from New Zealand look pretty quick on that first run.
Yeah, that's right. It'd be hard to argue they were going slower down that first run. They had a really nice jibe and a really nice mode straight into the left-hand mark. So yeah, they stretched out pretty quickly in that one.
I wonder how much angst and concern there is in American ranks right now after these early skirmishes, Ken. They're already beginning to think, wow, okay, we got a bit of an issue here. We've got a New Zealand team who look to be on top of their game in a very quick boat.
There's no doubt about that, especially we all thought in lighter air they'd be good. I'm not so sure we thought they'd be this good. A little more breeze maybe forecast for tomorrow. And by the way, this race isn't over yet, but from what we've seen so far, Kiwi fans around the world are kind of licking their chops.
High up on their foils, the Cyclores head down, singular of purpose.
A little lull here, and then we'll do
Peter Burling sunbathing with a Scotch egg in his back pocket.
Just pure boat speed right now. It could be a little more wind pressure out on the race course where they are, but true wind direction, a little more of a right-hand shift.
And you always say to me that the VMG, the bottom number in those blocks, is the key one. Just explain that for people new to the sport.
Well, it's hard to, when a boat tacks or jibes, all these numbers get a little skewed, but prior to Oracle actually tacking right there, you just saw all the numbers in New Zealand's favor. They were in a better right-hand wind shift. They were going faster, and their VMG was better. If you're a sailor, that is the holy grail of a combination of factors with regard to speed.
In general, I think we're going to sail a bit faster.
Looking like a pretty significant one.
Just a little. I think we're sailing quite a bit higher and slower. Real light here, guys. We're trying to take it. Pressure looks the other way. Light increase. Okay, let's stand by here.
Slingsby talking about higher and faster, higher and slower. That's a mode. They can change their modes on the boat as to how they want to sail the boat upwind. Higher meaning closer to the wind and a little bit slower in boat speed, or lower and a little bit faster away from the boat speed. It seems like the Kiwis are doing whatever they want at will in those radical turns sometimes.
Just another super quick tack. The way they throw those bows round in double quick time, and yet they're bang on the ley line. They're heading for gate 3. They're moving at 25 knots. They're going as well in the Kiwi world, seemingly.
They're going to loop right around that mark right there and just extend big time, just on really good tactics. And they're going faster. Watch them come screaming into this top gate. They're going to have another 500-meter lead here in no time. motor sound is the actual hydraulics working the wing. That's Glenn Ashby. He actually doesn't even have a winch on this boat. He just went to look to leeward, by the way. He just went to look around the other side of the wing to make sure they weren't going to interfere with Oracle. They want nothing to do with Oracle at this stage. Stay away, stay clear, just keep doing your thing.
By and large, that's been their policy throughout their time here in Bermuda, hasn't it?
Very fair point.
They like to keep their noses clean and sail their own race. Jimmy Spithill would love to drag them into a dogfight.
Pressure's above you, lifting pressure. Got in 5 seconds. Ley lines are terrible on the box.
No let up for the grinders.
Half up on 4, 3, 2, 1, good pup. That's good to the middle way.
Maybe go back out to Joey Newton. There's nothing that appears obvious to us looking at the screen, Joey. Is there anything that appears obvious to you on the water? This is a pretty big discrepancy.
Not really, Ken. I mean, there's the obvious sort of foil difference shape that we're seeing, sort of big, more kinked shape and maybe a tiny bit longer on the New Zealand boat. I think, you know, Pete's sailing really well, Blair's making really good calls, and once they get in front, they're just sort of piecing all the wind shifts and the puffs of breeze together and extending away. They're just doing a really nice job of sailing the boat, I think.
Through this entire series, and Joey, thank you for that. Through this entire series, since race number 1 of those ladder rounds early on, Team New Zealand has not lost a race that they have been ahead at mark number 1.
Yep. 30 seconds to bow. Drive, sorry. Yep. Softer on her bow, copy? Yep. And what's the numbers say? Yeah, numbers are good.
On board with Team New Zealand.
And it's usually minimal, the conversation, but it's clipped, it's precise, and it's just exactly what everybody needs and nothing more.
That is the sign of a well-oiled machine, my friend. That is exactly how you want it on any sailboat, for that matter, not just an America's Cup foiling catamaran.
Pressure over our shoulder, though.
And at the heart of it all is Peter Burling, 26 years old, unflustered, ice cool, very instinctive. And I was reading a fascinating piece about him, Ken, in one of the newspapers from New Zealand, which was just talking about his real natural feel for any kind of race course, his ability to spot wind shifts, to just be in the right place at the right time.
I do a lot of offshore racing. Let's make sure he doesn't go into offshore racing.
Put a blanket ban on him. Extend your career another few years, Kenny.
This is dominant, huh? This is just fully dominant right now. Interesting that we are hearing Blair Tuke and Glenn Ashby certainly giving a little more information to Peter Burling. We were under the impression that he was doing most of this tactical wind shifts, positioning himself, but clearly we have a couple microphones maybe on the boat that we've never had before, and we're hearing quite a bit more from Ashby and Tuke with regard to just helping position the boat on the race course.
Slowly up on the breeze here.
You look at Jimmy Spithill, his hands on the wheel right there. He's actually moving the foils fore and aft with those twist grips on the steering wheels in order to control the flight of the boat.
Trim.
I mean, nothing looks crazy slow, you know. Nothing looks out of whack on board Oracle, except for the fact that they're 650 meters behind.
Well, if there were toys being kept in the shed on shore, the Americans are going to have to empty the box.
Going to have to go look again.
Get the numbers rolling.
Always difficult to try to establish exactly what is kept up anybody's sleeve at any given moment in the America's Cup campaign, but you would expect that if there were new little details and adaptability to their design, they would have done all that in advance of today.
Especially this light air forecast has been in the mix for a long, long time. For, you know, for as far out as the weather forecast really can be very accurate. And they've known exactly what's coming, so you would never think they're keeping anything back. Not a perfect tack. They didn't get the board down early enough for Emirates Team New Zealand. Kind of a rare, unperfect, if that's a word, unperfect tack from Emirates Team New Zealand.
Imperfect.
Imperfect, unperfect. Is that the difference between American English and English?
So we got 5 of 7, and the New Zealanders are looking in total control right now as we get a decent perspective as to where they are on the race course from the helicopter hovering up above.
Just look at these VMG numbers again. Even though they're on opposite tacks, they're both settled in. New Zealand is a little out of whack right now because they're on what's called the headed side of a wind shift. Angled away from the line. These VMGs, when the two boats line back up again, these VMG numbers are super critical. You've got to imagine all the teams are watching it, or all the players from each of these teams are watching it very closely.
Just to be clear, the VMG, the combination between boat speed and angle.
Correct, and the wind direction has a big, is a variable obviously involved there, but it's how close to the wind and how fast you're going. You can go closer to the wind and slower, you can go further away from the wind and faster. The VMG is that perfect combination between the two.
Coming up here. Got no can. Yep.
Kiwis, because of the narrowness of the race course, every once in a while you're kind of forced into a wind shift that you really don't want to be on. I think the Kiwis have been headed a little bit on both sides in the last 2-3 minutes. Headed meaning not the perfect wind shift, and Oracle's got it back to 300 meters. They've almost halved the distance in a very short period of time based on the wind strength. Shifty out there. Very, very shifty in the wind.
Okay, starting to soften a little. Mark you like slingers?
Clawing their way back into this contest, the Americans.
Tom Slingsby is looking at a probably as an instrument right there that is helping him tell what the wind direction is. He's looking on the water for the dark spots, and he's probably using that instrument in his hand in order to help him figure out is the true wind direction, is the wind direction working for them or against them?
Copy. Okay, get a building here, Jimmy. A little bit of that. Okay, stand by. Looking for good numbers here, Jimmy. Big trim, big trim. It's going to be a foiler. 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn it. Big gains here, guys. High groove. Actually, VMG.
They're helping us out there, right? VMG, which means they just go normal. Sometimes you say high groove because there's a puff to weather of you, which means closer to the wind. Sometimes the puff is right in front of you. You want to leg into it. Huge gains on this wind shift on the last 3 or 4 minutes from just wind shifts. Really well done by Slingsby. This is all of a sudden a boat race.
Well, they were thrilled with that last foiling tack, weren't they? And look, they are gaining all the time on the Kiwis.
Kiwis better get up on their foils quick. If there's an overlap here, they're in big trouble. Oracle will have the right of way. They just barely get up on their foils on time. Barely.
Springhill is breathing down Burling's neck right now and applying the pressure all the time. And there's the protest from the Americans. So we await the decision from the chief umpire, Richard Slater. Will the Kiwis be a penalty down? No, they will not. They're free to go. But this is game on.
We were calling that the wind shift seems to be out of sorts for Emirates Team New Zealand from about halfway up that leg on, and sure enough, big shifts. But Oracle gets very slow in their jibe down to 8 knots, and the Kiwis are going 18. So all of a sudden they get back in the race and just have a bad jibe, a super slow jibe. Oh, disappointment for Oracle Team USA fans.
Pressure's coming back.
Okay, ready, Langer?
Standard
What a crushing blow after all that hard work, reeling in the Kiwis. Now all of a sudden they're 350 meters further back.
Really low pitch.
That could have been a combination of just a light air patch, but they were almost in the same water. Whether we'll have to ask later. Look at this last leg. So watch the Kiwis. The Kiwis go to that boundary and then they tack and they have a really horrible angle coming back again. Oracle Team USA, look at the difference from there to there of the wind shift that Oracle is in. Massive gains. And sure enough, the same thing again. Oracle comes back at them in a wonderful wind shift, enough to make this race incredibly close, literally within a meter at one stage, but one bad jibe by Oracle, whether it's a puff of wind or just technique in the jibe, just spreads this thing out. They lost almost 300 meters in a jibe. Any sailor would think that's like literally impossible, but welcome to foiling catamaran sailing.
Well, it is a cruel blow, and we've seen, haven't we, throughout hard time here on the Great Sound, that just one relatively small error, that was quite a big one, but a relatively small error can cost you 150, 200 meters. This one much more costly than that for Jimmy Spithill.
A wonderful number by all of our folks back in the truck to figure out how many meters lost to that one jibe. That's going to go in the history books, I think. That is the new sailing that we are becoming more accustomed to all the time.
Copy. Okay, 10 away, boys. 5.
I'm going to guess they do this last little bit into the finish much better than they did the first time around. Better lay line through the gate. The pressure's kind of off with regard to where Oracle. Look at how far behind Oracle is.
Very light out.
They were a meter away.
Still the Cyclones put it in. Every last ounce of their being is being left out there on the racetrack, but it is all paying off because they are having quite the day, the New Zealanders. They're through the last gate. They are tearing up towards the finish line.
As we've said many times, put the brakes on quick, boys, or you're going to be in somebody's rum drink very, very shortly.
What a day for Peter Burling and Emirates Team New Zealand. What a start to their match. A blistering opening, laying down the gauntlet to the Americans. It is shaping up to be a brilliant duel, but the Kiwis have torn it up today. 2 wins from 2. They need 6 more wins, and the trophy will be theirs, but they have started in the best possible fashion.
That is Kiwi jubilance like we've never seen before. A couple of handshakes and a nice job, and that's all you're going to see out of these guys, I guarantee it.
So I'll tell you what, you put the wind up, really just begun. We're doing 50 BMG. We're just going.
So we're hearing those little chuckles. That's coming from the New Zealand boat, needless to say. There won't be too much laughing on board Oracle Team USA. A chastening afternoon here in Bermuda for Jimmy Spithill and the rest of his crew.
Wondering how that went so badly, so fast up at that last gate. What was a miraculous comeback turns into really, unfortunately, a shocking defeat. That's going to be a disappointed group.
All right. hard turn here, Langer.
Yep.
Bad luck, guys. Good fight. Bad luck, boys.
Yeah.
Gotta keep hanging in there.
Keep hanging in there is the message from the helmsman, Jimmy Spithill. He's been through the mill before. He knows there's every chance. He knows what it takes to launch a comeback. Think back just 4 years ago, of course, the best and biggest of them all, the most dramatic of them all. We're not at that stage, but the Kiwis have got their noses in front here on the Great Sound, and the Americans now have it all to do. Right from the word, New Zealand all the way.
But look at going on to leg 5. Look at the difference. They gained 1.5 minutes. Oracle Team USA did. They will take some solace out of that for sure. They will use that as kind of a rallying cry. We play the shifts a little bit better. We're right in this, fellas. But boy, oh boy, could the Kiwis have started any better. Very well done by the entire Emirates Team New Zealand squad.
So confirmation of the 2 victories today for the New Zealand team, led by Peter Burling at the helm. Victory by 30 seconds and by almost 1.5 minutes. So lots to celebrate for the Kiwi fans on the shoreline. So let's have a word with their skipper, Glenn Ashby. Glenn, this could not have gone better, could it? How do you assess day 1?
Yeah, look, obviously, you know, fantastic rally by the boys, particularly the guys forward today. You know, just a massive effort on the hydraulic front. You know, it's so shifty and so puffy, as we saw, obviously, out there. You know, huge movements on both the dagger boards and the wing, obviously, and the jib. You just constantly, you never actually ever stop trimming something for the whole day. So those guys got an absolute whipping today. But you know, we made a few mistakes around the track, obviously, and so did the other guys. So one of those days where pretty hard to string every single puff and every single shift together. You had to sort of let a couple go to make sure you sort of played the longer game. And you know, yeah, quite a difficult one. Lot to go through. We'll, you know, the old armchair action later on this evening, we'll be able to see where we made all our mistakes, obviously. But to come away with you know, 2 points, I know that we're only you know, 1 point ahead now, but to come away with 2 race wins today was you know, a fantastic way to start. So really happy for all the guys. It was a great day.
Glenn, many congratulations. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, guys.
So let's look at the numbers from race 2. Here they are.
Well, these are going to be very skewed, and I very quickly go down to the distance sailed. You see Emirates Team New Zealand sailed quite a bit longer distance than Oracle Team USA again. And the fact of the matter is that was that big wind shift on the second beat. That's what happens. You just sail a longer distance. That's what wind shifts do for you. You either sail more narrowly to the wind or closer towards the next mark, or you sail away from it. And they had to sail quite a bit away from it. And boy, oh boy, it almost cost them the race. If they had gotten hooked at that weather mark, it would have been a luffing maneuver. This would have been a totally different ball game. So still very fast downwind, but distance sailed very interesting for Emirates Team New Zealand.
So let's have a look at legs 5 and 6 in a little more detail.
Well, leg 5, this is a couple big moves for Oracle Team USA. Second up wind leg. Look at the Kiwis here. Much slower throughout a couple tacks. And then the same thing up here. Look at the big speed differences. 5, 7, almost 10 knots of speed difference. Of course, on the third downwind leg, there's the dreaded jibe right there. They were going very slow on Oracle Team USA, the blue line, for a much longer period of time. And it really set up their whole run. They were much slower on the entire run. They were probably in less wind, but certainly that big jibe splashdown hurt them dramatically.
So the Americans deep in discussion, as they will be, no doubt, long into the night this evening, Ken. I mean, there is no doubt a number of different things they'll be looking at, but this lot have set the agenda, the Kiwis.
And it was fascinating to hear Peter Burling after the first day say, you know, we made a ton of errors around the race course. That is the exact quote. So that's like Tiger Woods saying he didn't bring his A game and still won the tournament by 1,000 strokes.
So let's have a word with Jimmy Spithill, the helmsman of Oracle Team USA. Jimmy, commiserations. 2 races have got away from you today. How do you assess day one? Because the Kiwis seem to have a very quick boat, and obviously they're off to a flyer.
Yeah, they seem to have good speed around the course. There's still some opportunities there, and I thought Tommy did a good job of keeping us close in there, but really felt we kind of played the cards we were dealt. You know, tough day, but we're only one back.
So light air speed, obviously everybody knew that the Kiwis were going to be pretty quick in that stuff, Jimmy, but tell us all about how shifty and puffy it is out on the water, because that's one thing that we in the TV world have a really hard time showing people. You guys are living it. Tell us what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, this direction's pretty notorious for being, you know, very, very gusty and some really big lulls out there. So, you know, that was obviously the case today. But, you know, it's the same for both boats, so you've just got to deal with it the best you can.
Starts. Everybody in the world thought Jimmy Spithill was just going to be the aggressive in the starting line. The kid got off the starting line okay twice today.
Yeah, the first one had a little issue with our software. We're a little surprised with some of the numbers we had, and you know, really handed that one to them. The second one, we thought he was going to be early. He got there real early, pushed him. We thought we were going to be able to make a leeward end start work there, and they just out-accelerated us there, unfortunately. But, you know, from that point on, we still had our opportunities, and, you know, a little bit of a shame we just couldn't pull that jibe off after rounding the top mark.
Jimmy, thanks for your time. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Quite a start then to the America's Cup match. Lots of excitement already. The New Zealanders coming out firing on all cylinders. So let's have a little look at some of the best bits of the day.
Well, this start, here we go, the first start, and Emirates Team New Zealand puts a little pressure on. Jimmy Spithill says they had a software issue, which means their time and distance back to the line may not have been reading accurately. They did get back to the line very early, unforced error over the starting line early, and got to drop back. And what Burling does really well is creates a gap between the boats once they accelerate off the starting line. Like we said earlier in the show, Burling certainly was asked so many times in those last couple series about his starting. Is this your Achilles heel? He showed today that starting not only is an Achilles heel, but he can be dominant just like anybody else. They were smooth, they were clean. Couple little errors for sure coming into, they want this whole sequence of maneuvers coming into the first finish line, but when you have as big a lead as they had, you know what, you can make a couple errors and still look pretty darn good when the day's over. Race number 2, a clear start, and like we talked about, this is about acceleration, time and distance, acceleration. Emirates Team New Zealand just turned their bow down and got to accelerate a little quicker. Angle changes, trying to get through their wing wash. Oracle actually does a nice job getting through the wing wash, staying up on their foils, and you know what, we think this race is over because Emirates Team New Zealand took off, but a couple wind shifts later, Oracle is right back in the hunt. It just came out of nowhere. We thought they were in bad wind shifts. We didn't think the wind shifts were nearly that bad. Here is the jibe that they want back. This was from meters behind to hundreds of meters behind in one bad jibe again. Same story, Emirates Team New Zealand, another dominant win, and if you're a Kiwi fan, well, you're just as jubilant as these guys are right now.
So today's results then, New Zealand with 2 wins from 2 across the start line up to the first mark in the lead on both counts, making it pay. And that leaves the standings looking like this. New Zealand having started this opening day of the match 1 point in arrears. They're now a point up. First to 7 race wins for the trophy. Tomorrow, more of the same thrilling action. 2 more races. Potentially the Kiwis, of course, could take a firm grip on the match by nightfall tomorrow. Conditions looking pretty similar for racing. So we are up and running in the 35th America's Cup match. On the water.